Hello, everybody, once again, and welcome to another edition of the Hilchos Tefillah Awareness Shiur. My name is R Yehudah Schwartz, and it's an honor and privilege to now be giving now Shiur number 23 of this Shiur. Baruch Hashem, it's coming along very well. The response has been really amazing, and hopefully we'll continue to do this for a long time until we get people to change their mindsets of how we act by davening, how our mindset is when it comes to davening, and also of the all and following the halachas of the Mishabru and the Shulchan Aruch. This is being recorded the week of Shuir, so today was a Chodesh, so good Chodesh everybody. And for this week, we're going to focus on Semeni Daled, Sif Vav, and Zayin, which is basically continuation from each other, in which it's going to discuss and detailed outline of when a person does come late to minyan in the morning. First of all, don't make a habit out of it to make it every single day a habit to come late. That's not a good excuse. We had this discussion last week in the R Yehudah side of this year, which discussed that someone who comes late or leaves early is Zalzal, Deibishem, and causing Hashem. We'll discuss more of that later in the week, Hashem, and in Shiur 24. But in the meantime, let's delve into the Shulchan Aruch side of things, and let's see what it says. We're up to Sif Vav and Semen Yudalit. If one arrived late to show, and then arrived until the tzibah began to daven, and now if he recites all davening, all the prayers according to the standard arrangement, he will not reach the Tefillah in time to daven together with the tzibah. And the most essential part of praying with the tzibah is to daven together with them. Therefore, in this situation, we can skip part of the prayers as we will explain in Sif Zion, which we'll do tonight as well. But you should know, if I'm reciting opposite of Zimba, you will not be able to recite Shema in its proper time either. Then he may skip according to the priorities set forth in Sif Zion, which we discuss in a couple of minutes. One should not understand this halacha as a license to regularly come late to daven and then skip parts of Pesukei Zimra. Or, I'll add, or just rumble through Pesukei Zimra, as we discussed in a previous week's shiur regarding that of in Sif Beis, which discusses to daven say benachas, ibn ima, b'olim rutza, daven with calm and pleasant manner and not rushed. Keep that in mind. If you do it once, I've said it so many times over, if you do it once in a while, it's one thing. Making a habit out of it is completely unacceptable. And in Yiddish, nicht ausgehalten, gefiel all Ashitas. By the way, so Mishabur points out that in fact, skipping parts of our prayers has a very deleterious effects. It's only when there's no choice that it's better to skip some of the prayers, so at least daven shemesses together with the tzibur. But by the way, just even then, a person must go back and finish the rest of Pesukei Zimra after davening is over. Let's continue. However, Birchas al Tisadayim, the Baruch of Tisadayim, Birchas Torah, Birchas Kana Shema, and Birchas Torah and the Kana Shema, the oil tzach, limit come tefillah. It must be said before davening. Before davening. As is explained in Siman Zayin, which we didn't discuss in this shiur, in Sifim 6 and 7. Therefore, I wanted to recite these brachas at home. Basically, it says he must recite it when he comes to shul. Even if we're doing so, he'll be delayed to the point he'll not be able to daven with the tzibur. Also, the recitation of Shema in the morning. So we'll see later on potentially. Regarding this halacha pertaining to the marv, well, Evening we station of Shema and its brachas also. Tzach da limit dafke kam Shmoneh. He must be beside before Shmoneh. How that is. She'ascha brachas Yotzeor. He must begin with the brachas of Yotzeor, who forms light, which is following Baruch Hu. Bispal Keseda in daven in the stand in the water. Alach Shmoneh until after the Shmoneh or Amidah. B'li hefsek without any interruptions. Kedei lasmach gula letfillah. So to recite the brasik of Geula, redemption, the tefillah right away with Shemana Esrei. Then I go Yisrael Shemana Esrei. That is to conclude the bracha of Gal Yisrael and go straight to Shemana Esrei. Al Sha'ab brachas, but the rest of the morning brachas, Chal Seder and the order of Ikabonos, Psikul Zimma, believe brachas brach Shemay v'Yishtabach without the brachas all brachas Shemay v'Yishtabach. Maybe Messiah after Shemesib davening as well. And now we're going to go through extensively in this area. The majority of this shiur is going to actually discuss right now in this exact order what could be skipped and what cannot. Here we go. L'chein div 4. Siv Zayin. After one is recited the 3 brachas listed above, you put on talis and tefillin. He sees that he doesn't have enough time to be able to reach to the point where he could davesh my esrei with the entire tzibur. Unless he skips and starts with brachas yotzar, as a yatzchel shom, then he should skip entirely start from there. And Mr. Brewer will have a whole discussion this later on, at a later date. We'll discuss it as well. Next. If he has enough time to recite as well, which means Ashrei, in other words. Yeah, that means Ashrei, the Hainu, that is, to the concluding verse of the peg which ends in then you should recite those sections and then begin Yetzirah. Yesh lo izman Yotzer. If he has a bit more time, Yemegam haluka kel b'kadshay. You should also recite the peg of kel b'kadshay ad kol Hashem haluka, which is in the last peg of Tehillim. If yesh lo izman Yotzer, if he has even more time, Yemegam haluka hal Hashem Shemayim. You should say that one as well, the one beforehand. But if he has even more time, he should say the rest of the halukas, beginning from the first one, haluka, after Ashrei. If he has more time, even after that, he should also recite the section beginning by until the conclusion of the section al Hashem Tevatecho. You spell this name. If he has even more time, she also recite the beginning of a hoidu until v'hurachem. And then skip until the station of v'hurachem until Ashrei. Sham Yaschel and begin reciting from there. And by the way, this actually section, hoidu is recited at this point only in the Ashkenaz, in which hoidu is said before, as said after Baruch Shema. There's a Svar, which hoidu says, we say hoidu before Baruch Shema. No point of hoidu is to be recited unless there is time to recite the rest of the Pesukei Zimma in its entirety. It's for those who are Nusach Svar people like myself. Now, what about Shabbos? But regard to the parokim that are added on to Pesukei Zimma Shabbos Yantiv, if it does not have to be time to recite them, Azai kalmas moyim v'apsukim shem esn kol b'chol yom. All the parokim and psukim that recite daily, the kedima takes precedence and they should be set first. But the nishmas, which is recited before Yishtabach on Shabbos and Yom Tov, cannot be taken out. You can't skip that. Thus, if his time is limited, he should recite Baruch Shema, Tehillah David, in Asher not Nishmas, and then Yishtabach. And after in silence, if he has more time, Mizvah, Lam Natseach, Tov Shenoisoi, Tefillah Moshe, which we say in that particular order. And all of the prokim in Psukim listed above, should be said before Yishtabach. And after the conclusion of davening, Yashlem Kol Mashi Dilag, he should complete his davening and they have skipped. Rak Baruch Shema Yishtabach. Only Baruch Shema Yishtabach ain't Lachat Tefillah should not be said after davening. Yemiroya, everyone who came late sees Shafilim Yaschal Birchas Yitzhar that even begin the blessing of Yitzhar without saying Pesachim at all. He should not. He'll not be able to daven with the tzibur. Elam kaim unless he davens quickly. In that case, it's better he davens the entire dive by himself. Following the standard order of the prayers with delivery and with concentration. Come on, Sifim Gid Alfid base, which is much later on. Regarding other halachas pertaining to one who was not up to the congregation's prayers. And I want to say make it the thing very clear. This is only if there's only one man in town, or most places where minimum are very very limited, and there are not enough minimum. Also, it talks about someone who has to be at work very early and on time. So winter time is a very tough time for a lot of people, and it's understood that they have to get to work in a timely manner, and if that's the case for them, they have no choice. That's what they do. They have to down that million, the first million. But again, as stated above, it's only if it happens once in a while he oversleeps, and he has to get to me and has to get to work on time. But in our locale where we live in Brooklyn or Lakewood or other places, there's a plenty of yam around. The basic suggestion is to look at a mini map, look where your local shows are, go figure out what time davening is in your local area, pick 3 or 4 shows, and then figure out exactly where you can daven and make sure you can get to them in your own time. That's what we always say, and it's very important to not make this into a major habit and taking advantage of the system, as they say, and daven kimench and come into shul on time, and this is only used as just as an oinus, as was stated in the previous shiur. When is oinus? We'll close the shiur today with a small chapter of Tefillah meaning from Ramesh Leibowitz, and the chapter 7 is we daven 3 times a day. 3 times a day we daven each day. The Gemara says that the Avos established the 3 different brachot tefillahs. The way we daven today was an act after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, when people were scattered throughout different countries. Avraham established Shachas, Yitzchak established Mincha, and Yaakov established Ma'ariv. Rav Zalman Sotzkin Zitzel has a fascinating thought on the 3-day tefillahs. The 3 tefillahs represent different life scenarios. Avram's life had 10 challenges, but he was not harmed by them. Instead, he kept rising up upward and noticed Hashem. The only dark cloud in his life was that he did not have a child until he was an old man. Avram established Shachas. At that time, he was told that Yitzchak would be born, as well as when Lot was saved from Sodom. For Avram, things were perfect and life was beautiful. His tefillah was Shachas, since one is always hopeful that new day will be wonderful. Although Hashem gave him everything and he had no apparent reason to daven, he still davened and thanked Hashem. And we should refer to the Tzidkas Atzadik 109. So why Avram had to daven with Sodom and why Hashem thanked him for it. So we're not going to go into that about that. We're going to Avram try saving Sodom because he wanted to make a connection. It took place. The davening even wasn't answered. Although Yitzchak lived a wonderful life and never experienced Golus, he was told there will be Golus. He represents the beginning of the turn of the tide. During his life, the sun shone brightly, but he knew that the sun would sink to the other side of the sky and it would still be dark. Yitzchak's eyes were weak, demonstrating that the Golos would eventually happen. So Yitzchak he established Mincha, which was said before sunset, when he was about to marry Rivka, and his life would change. One should daven even when he is not experiencing pain. Although one may be comfortable now, it is not the sunshine in the morning. One has clarity of mind, but also the sense of urgency that things may be changing soon. This tefillah has the greatest impact, as the Gemara in Mesechus Berachos Daf Vavam Beis says that Eliyahu was only answered due to the tefillah of Mincha. Yaakov, who had a bitter life, Saba Shemarev, he ran away from a brother who wanted to kill him, and from Lavan, who tricked him. He experienced pain when Dinah was abducted, and Yosef was taken away from him. Yet he still had the courage to daven after all these challenges. This teaches us that one must daven even if he's in the place of darkness and cannot concentrate properly. We must always daven at different times in our lives, and our relationship with Hashem cannot deteriorate based on the challenges we face. It isn't difficult to serve Hashem when all our needs are met and we are healthy and wealthy. However, when things start to look bleak, or even when things are difficult, we must still be a servant of Hashem and daven properly. Our relationship with Hashem must always be deepening, and we must daven no matter in what situation we find ourselves. This is what the Abbas taught us when they established the three tefillahs in different life situations. The Maral says that the three tefillahs we say each day correspond to three different aspects of our lives. When someone wakes up in the morning, it's time to daven shachris. His body desires to stay in bed, yet he conquers the desire and gets out of bed and goes daven. Mincha is decided at a time of day when one is busy with his work. He must put on hold his money-making pursuits and find time to daven. At night, he is done with his work, but is tired and wishes to rest. However, instead of resting, he goes to daven, showing that he wishes to serve Hashem even when tired. Through the three tefillahs, we show that we are in complete servitude to Hashem with our bodies, money, and soul. What a beautiful, beautiful way to end the evening here. We should helfen, we should be able to continue to change our mindsets, be able to get more clarity in our tefillahs, and we should be able to be zercher to a beautiful week ahead, and all Shpas Tevis. Have a wonderful day.